Tonight, rural crime on the rise.
When I was a kid and ride my bike, and now I wouldn't even walk it at night. I wouldn't even walk it after dark.
Small-town residents speak out as a new report shows rural crime rates overtaking those of urban centers. Also tonight.
But to see this being lost is really critical.
Why the future of a food and support program for vulnerable seniors is now in question, and what it means for hundreds of folks who rely on the service. Plus, a landmark development.
700 acres is the size of some cities, so I can only imagine thousands of jobs will be generated by this project.
What's in store for this massive new project in the burgeoning Centerport Industrial Park?
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The future of a food security program hundreds of older Manitobans rely on is in doubt tonight. During the pandemic, Age and Opportunity set up a food hamper program. It arranges for those hampers to be directly delivered to the seniors who need them. However, by the end of this summer, that program is ending. Live tonight to explain is CTV's John Hendricks. John, why is this happening?
Well, it certainly isn't because of a lack of need, Marilee. As you said, hundreds of older adults rely on that food each month. However, the province is removing the funding for the program.
I make sure I get their food.
Victoria Como has always been a strong, independent person, but the 85-year-old's mobility and eyesight hasn't been the same since she was viciously attacked in February of 2025 while walking to the store to buy some milk.
That guy that ran up behind me, I didn't even hear him. He just smacked me in the back of the head and knocked me down.
She still hasn't fully recovered, making it a lot more difficult to get around to places like the grocery store. Luckily, the pensioner has help filling her cupboards. Como is one of nearly 500 older adults getting a food hamper delivered every month from Harvest, Manitoba through Age and Opportunity's food security program. It's there to help people recently discharged from hospital or dealing with lack of access to a vehicle, health, or other barriers.
We often refer to it as a basket of services that people need. It's not ever usually just one thing. There's usually multiple things going on.
But the future of the program is in doubt. Age and Opportunity says the province, which has funded the program for the past 2 years, recently told them they were moving on.
We're hoping that this isn't sort of a systemic issue of ageism where older adults aren't being considered within policy.
To ensure clients aren't left in a lurch, Age and Opportunity has sent them this letter, explaining that due to funding reductions, no further hampers will be scheduled for delivery after August 31st.
A program like this is the world there, not only just for the food that comes once a month, but for that little bit of social aspect of having that visit.
Joseph Foray says he'll figure out how to replace the food that may no longer be coming. But he says this was a program that was well worth the investment, and he wants it to continue or be replaced with something similar.
And that may be what happens. In a statement to CTV News, Health and Seniors Minister Uzoma Azaguara writes in part, "We're moving to a direct partnership with Heart to Home, the organization that has actually been delivering these hampers to seniors. We believe working directly with frontline organizations helps us strengthen services, maximize investments, and make sure more support reaches Manitobans who need it most. We are already actively working with Heart to Home to ensure there is a smooth transition with no interruption in service for current clients."
All right, thanks for this, John. 2 people are in hospital tonight, one with life-threatening injuries after they were shot while riding an all-terrain vehicle on a Northern First Nation. A 21-year-old man and a 17-year-old boy were brought to the nursing station in Matthias Colomb Cree Nation, also known as Puckatawagan. That was shortly after midnight. Both had to be flown to Winnipeg for further treatment. RCMP have identified a suspect, and an emergency response team is currently searching for them. A shelter-in-place alert was issued, but police say the First Nation lifted the order. Matthias Colomb is a fly-in community located more than 800 kilometers northwest of Winnipeg. A heavy police presence descended on the city's Sergeant Park neighborhood today. Police cruisers could be seen blocking off a stretch of Garfield Street north near the intersection of Sargent Avenue. Further up the street, several officers and the armored rescue vehicle were spotted on the yard of a home. A police spokesperson says they were there to execute a search warrant and there was no threat to public safety. Residents of a small Manitoba town are raising the alarm tonight over rising crime rates. This after troubling statistics show crime in rural areas of the province are the second highest in all of Canada. CTV's Harrison Shin spoke with residents of Ashern about what they want done.
A small community 2 hours northwest of Winnipeg, here in Ashern, crime is on people's minds.
There's been lots of vandalism in the last month or so, for sure. Lots of businesses have been broken into.
To the level, residents created a new Facebook group just to voice concerns.
We get posts in the group saying that either their shed's been kicked in, bikes have been stolen, businesses are being robbed, people are calling the police.
On Tuesday, Statistics Canada released a study about the crime severity index. In the latest data from 2024, Manitoba has the second highest for rural areas. That index weighs crimes in terms of severity. Manitoba came in at 180, down 4 points from 2023. Saskatchewan topped the list at 219.
Not surprising, which is very sad because your community should be safe. We're a small town. Everybody kind of knows everybody. You look out for your neighbors, and that's not happening right now.
Residents like cops say they don't have enough police officers in the area. Manitoba Justice Minister Matt Wiebe says more needs to be done for rural communities.
We know that there's a lot of issues that are driving crime, and we want to be tough on the root causes as well. So our whole government is working towards making your community safer, and we're going to make sure that the resources are there in place to make sure you and your family are safe.
For COP, she'd like to see more officers in town.
We have businesses that are being robbed daily, small businesses, small town owners. If the police and the government aren't doing anything to protect them, our small businesses are going to close.
Harrison Shin, CTV News, Ashern, Manitoba.
Visitors to Birds Hill Provincial Park hoping to cool off this week will have to wait a little bit longer. Manitoba Park says the pump that's used to fill the lake needs to be repaired. That fix will be done sometime this week, but it then takes about 2 weeks to fill the lake. Beachgoers can expect regular water levels by mid-June, according to staff. All right, let's bring in Colleen Brady now and get a first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. Pretty nice to take a dip in any body of water tonight. It's hot out there.
It sure is, and it's going to get even hotter as we move throughout the week. I was talking last night, of course, about that building ridge of high pressure over the prairies. Well, it's in effect created a heat dome over the region, and temperatures again today in the upper 20s, even low 30s in parts of southern Manitoba. But as hot as that is, even hotter air is to the west of us, and over the next few days, that is going to slide further off to the east. So I'll have more details on that. I'll show you where there is a weather alert in effect tonight in another part of the province, and it has nothing to do with heat. But let's take a look right now through the CTV Live Eye. It's brought to you by Bath Fitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution. In Winnipeg right now, it is 27 degrees in the sunshine. Windy, you might appreciate that for now. Winds out of the northeast at 30 kilometers an hour. Gusts up to 42. The pressure's falling, and the humidity right now, Marilee, is 28%.
Thanks, Colleen. A Manitoba man missing since Christmas Eve has been found dead. RCMP say the body of 37-year-old Blair Coles was found on Brady Road north of the perimeter Saturday. The force says criminality is not suspected, but the cause of death remains under investigation pending autopsy results. Coles was last seen leaving an address on Manitoba Avenue in Selkirk on the morning of December 24th, 2025. It's being touted as the largest industrial development in Winnipeg's history. A developer has filed an application with the city for a 700-acre industrial park in Centerport. The project, known as Catalyst Park, is expected to bring thousands of jobs to the area. With more on this, CTV's Jeff Keel joins us now live. So, Jeff, what type of industries could we see locate to this new park?
Manufacturing, research, even restaurants. In particular, the aerospace sector has an eye on the development. It doesn't look like much now, but this dirt field in northwest Winnipeg could one day be home to a number of new companies.
This is major for Winnipeg. This is going to push an economic agenda for the city and for the province.
Jessamine Family Investments filed an application with the city to build a 700-acre industrial park on this land at Centerport. The mayor says the project, known as Catalyst Park, will be the largest industrial development in the city's history.
It'll be a significant industrial development, and it'll be transformative for Winnipeg's economy.
With the proximity to the airport N17 wing, the development is expected to attract the aerospace and defense sectors.
The Centerport South lands are adjacent to the Winnipeg Airport, which really helps to develop and grow and continue to create high-wage, high-paying, good value jobs for Winnipeggers, all related to the sky economy.
Other manufacturing and distribution centers are also anticipated, as well as office buildings and research centers, plus education facilities, even restaurants, to complement the influx of new workers, which could number in the thousands.
I think it'd be fair to say it might look like a bit of a campus as well.
The move comes after the city and province paid to run sewer and water services to Winnipeg's portion of Centerport in 2022, paving the way for new businesses to come here or existing ones to expand.
There hasn't been that land base in the city of Winnipeg to allow those kind of investments to happen and that kind of growth to happen. So this is going to be much needed inventory.
The mayor is voicing his support for Catalyst Park. He notes there are strict drainage rules for developments near the airport, so retention ponds don't attract migrant birds near flight paths.
All the rules related to the airport vicinity plan would have to be complied with, but the Winnipeg Airport Authority right now is one of the most eager developers of their lands.
Now, even though there are no plans before any councillors at City Hall yet, the mayor has already written a letter to the local community committee supporting this, which would hear the application in the future.
So, Jeff, when could the approval process begin? And if approved, when could we see this industrial park take shape?
You're not going to like this answer. It's unclear, Mayor Lee. The mayor couldn't provide timelines, and we spoke to a couple of representatives from JFI. They say they don't have a specific date yet. They have to first work through the application process at City Hall, but they do tell us this is a good news story.
All right, we got to ask the questions. Thanks, Jeff. A new map is highlighting the effects the city's encampment enforcement policy is having on the homeless.
When all of the restrictions are in place and they're added to matters like private property, roadways, parking lot, and the like, we really see that there's nowhere in the city of Winnipeg where it's okay to camp.
The community organizations involved in the mapping tools creation say the restrictions, which went into effect in November, are breaking up chosen communities where homeless people feel safe and has created a sense of fear. They say some people have also been lost in the shuffle of trying to navigate the system and being forced to bounce between encampments. But Winnipeg's mayor is standing behind the policy, calling it a balanced approach, and says there are no plans to revisit it.
We've got too many people that are struggling with addiction. We have too much open drug use. We have too much crime going on, and so this is not the time to be, going in different directions. This is the time to be uniting to combat the challenges on our streets.
The community groups are concerned what will happen as enforcement ramps up with the warmer weather. The mapping tool is available through Resource Assistance for Youth's website. 2 more 7-Eleven stores have closed up shop in Winnipeg. Signs have gone up at the Notre Dame and Arlington store, as well as at the Keewatin Street near Logan Avenue location, saying those stores are permanently closed as of today. They add to a growing list of locations which have shut down operations in recent months. Past closures in the city have been blamed on losses brought on by crime. And last month, the chain announced it expects to close hundreds of North American locations this year. Mayor Scott Gillingham previously said 7-Eleven would be opening several new locations in the city, and he says as far as he's aware, that is still the plan.
7-Eleven, if you take a look at what's happening across North America, they've closed hundreds of stores across North America. So this is not just a Winnipeg thing. There have been 7-Eleven store closures across North America. As my understanding is that they're going to a different model.
CTV News has reached out to 7-Eleven for comment. We are still waiting to hear back. Some pushback tonight over the province's social media ban for youth. Well, the Manitoba Teachers Association recognizes the harmful effects social media can have. It's opposed to a blanket ban.
Well, I think our biggest concern is that there are some decisions that are being made about education that aren't including the educators.
Manitoba Premier Wap Kinew announced last month he plans to roll out a ban to prevent children from using certain online platforms. But MTS says it could affect learning plans in classrooms. It says teachers have developed resources and tools over the years which incorporate YouTube and other apps.
It's not a free rein for students to use in a classroom from when they get there at 9 in the morning till they leave at 3:30. These are very specific pieces that supplement lessons.
MTS President Lillian Clausen says it's similar to how TV cards and DVD players were used in years past. Clausen says Education Minister Tracy Schmidt heard the concerns at its recent annual general meeting and will be meeting with them to discuss things further in the coming weeks. Nearly 3/4 of Manitobans are ready to stop changing the clocks twice a year. That's according to a new survey by Prairie Research Associates. A little more than a third of those polled would prefer to stay on daylight saving time, citing the value of more daylight in the evening for after work or school activities. 18% would rather stick to standard time, and 21% said they'd be happy with any permanent time change. Just 14% say they'd rather continue switching between the two, while slightly fewer said they had no preference. The survey of 1,060 Manitobans took place between May 21st and 25th. It cannot be assigned a margin of error as the sample was made up of panel members. However, a random survey of the same size would have a margin of error of plus or minus 3 percentage points. Now, the province is conducting its own survey right now to gauge how people feel about the future of the time change in Manitoba. You can give your thoughts by visiting engagemb.ca. Still to come tonight, some pointed words from Manitoba's premier over an Alberta separation referendum.
It is up to you as the Alberta government to fulfill the duty to consult.
The message Wap Canoe had for Premier Danielle Smith as the Premier's conference wraps up. Plus, how Canada is tightening up some travel restrictions as a deadly Ebola outbreak in Africa continues. Those stories and more when we return. Looking at the markets tonight, crude oil lost $2.71. The loonie slipped to 72.40 cents U.S. Gold futures fell nearly $21. The TSX was down 177 points. The Dow Jones lost 118 points, while the Nasdaq added 312. Summer is right around the corner, and with it comes a temptation to go on holiday. But according to a new survey, more than 1 in 3 Canadians are planning to spend less on travel this season. The survey was conducted by TD Bank and found Canadians are adjusting travel budgets based on increased cost pressures. 44% of participants said higher fuel costs are influencing their travel decisions. 62% say they're redirecting spending towards everyday needs such as groceries and fuel. Meanwhile, more than 3/4 of Canadians who are planning to travel will do so within Canada. In fact, more than half plan to explore their own province. The survey was conducted from April 17th through the 27th and had a sample of 1,500 adults. Former Environment and Climate Change Minister Stephen Guilbeault's time as a Liberal MP is coming to an end. That's according to multiple sources who have spoken to CTV News. Guilbeault previously resigned from cabinet, citing the government's shift on climate change policies. And tomorrow, he's expected to walk away from federal politics altogether. CTV's Mike LeCouture has more from Ottawa.
Prime Minister, Mr. Guilbeault, has he told you about his future, sir?
Prime Minister Mark Carney sidestepped questions about his former minister, who will soon become his former MP. After nearly 7 years on Parliament Hill, Stephen Guilbeault confirmed to CTV News that he is quitting politics. He's expected to make it official at the Liberal caucus meeting on Wednesday.
I really appreciate his work, his advocacy, and I'm fully respectful of his decision.
Now, last year, Guilbeault resigned from cabinet after the federal government inked a memorandum of understanding with Alberta with a plan to build a new pipeline. The further rolling back of Trudeau-era environmental policies was seemingly the breaking point.
I'm a good friend of Stephen.
Industry Minister Melanie Joly says past policies on climate change weren't perfect.
We've seen the good impacts of that policy, but we've seen also the downfalls. And we need to be able to do both. We need to make sure that we bring Albertans on board.
Guilbeault's departure comes as more than a dozen Liberal MPs wrote to the Prime Minister last month, expressing concerns over policy changes like the new industrial carbon price in Alberta.
I believe many others are questioning themselves, and they should stand up and leave that party if they do believe the environment is important.
Are you worried about losing a majority over environmental policies and some resignations?
No.
The leader of the Green Party worries the Prime Minister has changed.
I don't find that there's anything left
whatever it was that I thought Mark Carney cared about relating to the climate crisis, I no longer find any traces of it in his policies.
Liberal Nate Erskine-Smith is also stepping down, while Jonathan Wilkinson has been appointed as the ambassador to the EU. The three departures will eventually trigger more by-elections, which could affect the Liberals' thin majority. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
Premier Wab Kinew had some direct words for Alberta Premier Danielle Smith. He's urging her to consider pausing referendum talks and consult with the province's First Nations.
It is not up to the petition gatherers to fulfill the duty to consult. It is up to you as the Alberta government to fulfill the duty to consult.
Kinew, speaking directly to Smith at the annual meeting of Western and Northern Premiers, says with all provinces signing and building mega projects, including an Alberta pipeline to the West Coast, this isn't the time for such uncertainty. The Premier also says existing treaty rights of Indigenous peoples living in Alberta are not being considered.
In this case, when there's clearly going to be an impact on well-established existing hunting and fishing rights by putting up an international border, if some would have their way, the judge ruled, and I would agree with the judge's ruling, that that is going to infringe on rights.
The Premier also suggested holding off referendum talks until pipelines and projects can begin construction. Premier Smith did not respond to Kinew and was not asked by reporters to respond. Canada is bringing in stricter measures in response to the Ebola outbreak in parts of Africa. The outbreak has resulted in more than 220 deaths and more than 900 suspected cases. Starting Saturday, all travelers will be assessed by border officials. Those who have symptoms will be transferred to hospital for further assessment. In addition, some travelers from Ebola-affected regions will be required to self-isolate for 21 days. Immigration authorities are also temporarily suspending decisions on applications from the Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, and Uganda. The Public Health Agency of Canada says the measures are being implemented out of an abundance of caution and will stay in place until August 29th. Help is on the way for Canadian communities battling wildfires this season.
To lease 10 additional wildfire fighting aircraft that will support our provinces and our territories in their response, and that will be available beginning this wildfire season.
The 10 aircraft include 4 air tankers, 5 helicopters, a bird dog plane, and 2 support assets. The planes will be stationed across the country based on expected need. Instead of buying the aircraft, Ottawa chose to lease them so they could be used immediately with pilots already in place. There was record-breaking heat in Europe and the UK again today. It was 35 degrees in London, breaking a record set the day before. And France hit a record 36 degrees. The National Weather Service says a heat dome is producing temperatures more than 10 degrees above normal. In southern Spain, the temperature is 38 degrees and could reach 40 degrees later this week. Manitoba Métis Federation President David Chartrand will be returning for another term. The nomination period closed Monday afternoon, and Chartrand is the only person who put forward their name for president in the upcoming election. This is Chartrand's 9th term as president, a role he's held since 1997. There are 22 positions open in the election. 6 others have also been acclaimed by incumbents. MMF members head to the polls June 23rd.
I will always remember him. He will never fade.
A picture is worth 1,000 words. We'll tell you how a Manitoba artist is being remembered more than 2 decades after his death. That story just ahead.
And if you think it's hot already, just wait. It's going to get even hotter. That hotter air now is to the west of us. It is going to slide east over the coming days, and by Thursday, check this out, 34 degrees. Ditto on Friday. Mainly sunny Thursday, mix of sun and cloud Friday. But we won't get that relief, really, because look at these overnight lows averaging right around 20 degrees those 2 nights. Then the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, lots of sunshine and still lots of heat. 33 degrees both days, upper teens for overnight lows. Same thing into Monday, mainly sunny with another hot high of 32 degrees.
For every household name in the art world, there are thousands of skilled artists which go relatively undiscovered for years. But the paintings and sketches still hold value to those who knew the makers best. CTV's Daniel Halmerson has more on one Manitoba artist more than 50 years after he put pen to paper.
He liked to do pen and ink. He did a little bit of oils, but not a whole lot.
Dave Rundle owns just a few of his brother Don Laforte's sketches, like this one of an unknown child from 1973.
Very seldom would he paint a happy face. I've got a happy face here in one of his drawings that I could find.
Rundle says his half-brother was born in 1941 near Powerview Pine Falls, was sent to Fort Alexander Residential School in his youth, and eventually ended up in Winnipeg.
He went to school at Gordon Bell High School. He played football there. One time he got his name in the papers, and that made him a hero, you know, to us.
Some of Laforte's highly detailed sketches from the 1970s pop up online, but there's little information about Laforte or his work readily available.
He was sitting there, and all you could hear was scratch, 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 scratch. Very fast scratching going on, you know. And that was on a piece of paper with his charcoal pencil.
John Mulliel met Laforte while working in downtown Winnipeg in the 70s. He says Laforte's work captured the challenges Indigenous people were facing at the time.
He portrayed that through his works, you know. I think that's what he wanted to show the world.
In 1975, Laforte gifted him one of his sketches. That was the last time Mulliel saw the artist.
He had this rolled up paper in his hand. It looked more like a newspaper rolled up. We unrolled this thing. And my wife said, "Oh my God, this is beautiful."
Mulliel's daughter recently tracked down Laforte's family and returned the 50-year-old sketch to them. And while Laforte died in 2000 at the age of 58, Dave Rundle says the rekindled interest in his brother's work is a nice reminder of the man and the artist.
I will always remember him. He will never fade.
Daniel Halmerson, CTV News, Winnipeg.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Colleen Brady's back now with your complete Skywatch forecast. And if you think it's hot out there now, you better get your fans ready because it's going to get hotter.
It sure is. Mid-30s by Thursday across southern Manitoba. Those kind of temperatures are out to the west. Heat warnings have been triggered, as you might expect under those conditions, west of Manitoba. We will likely see them triggered here once that real heat arrives, as if it isn't already hot enough. But as I told you earlier, I showed you with the long-range forecast, it's not just those hot highs that are coming. It's those very warm overnight lows accompanying those high temperatures that won't provide much relief. So we're in for a very warm stretch of days that's already well underway. Winds rather unusually coming out of the east as we head into the evening hours. You can see otherwise not much happening on the radar, although if you're in the southeastern corner of the province, we've been watching this line of non-severe thunderstorms just heading right into the southeast corner, but much more active thunderstorms just to the south, just coming out of North Dakota, and that line of storms extending across northern Minnesota. But you can see right around the state border there, it looks like those storms are dropping a little bit of hail. And after some thunderstorms moved through northwestern Ontario yesterday, a much calmer day today heading into tonight, where the skies are clear and the temperatures are very warm and the winds are relatively light. And speaking of northwestern Ontario, Kenora 25 degrees there. Then you get over the border and we heat up. 27 here in Winnipeg, still in the low 30s in Morden and Winkler. Melita 33, Brandon 27 there in the north, 21, 22 around Flin Flon and the Paw. Thompson 18. Just 3 degrees in Churchill. Now, Churchill is one of 2 regions under a yellow advisory for fog issued by Environment Canada. There's fog sitting out over Hudson Bay. It's expected to head back into places like Churchill that has already been contending with fog for much of the day. Not so much this afternoon, but it's expected to redevelop there. But really all across the northeast, the expectation is some of that fog will reach most of those communities. Otherwise, under the influence of that upper ridge of high pressure, not much is happening. It is clear, those skies, and the temperatures relatively warm for the most part, double-digit overnight lows, but not nearly as warm as it's going to be in the coming days. Into Wednesday we go. The sun is shining across most of Manitoba and northwestern Ontario. Temperatures tomorrow will be similar to today in the upper 20s for much of the south and warm in the north as well. Then we get into Thursday. That's when the depth of that heat, if you will really slide east and will just crank the heat up several degrees warmer than it's already been over the last couple of days. So for tonight for Winnipeg, 13 is the low, mostly clear. Winds winds this evening a little bit strong out of the northeast at 30. Light winds tomorrow morning for the commute from the east, sunny and 15 degrees. 28 degrees our hot high with the winds strengthening only slightly. The UV index for tomorrow is 5 or moderate. Quick swing around the province. Again, watch out for fog tonight across the northeast into Thompson down to 6 there. And then tomorrow sunny in Thompson, 21 degrees in the northwest tonight. Just a few clouds, overnight lows between 8 and 10 degrees. Sunny there tomorrow with highs in the low 20s. In the southwest tonight, a few clouds over the region. Brandon down to 11 tomorrow. Brandon up to 29. Dauphin 26. Winds will pick up a bit. You might appreciate that with those hot and sunny conditions. Winnipeg in the southeast tonight, just a few clouds at most. Overnight lows between 10 and 13 degrees. Sunny and hot tomorrow. 28, 29 for most of us. And in northwestern Ontario tonight, clear. 10, 13 degrees overnight, and then sunny, a little windy in Kenora with highs in the low to mid-20s. Our first weather photo takes a look at beautiful Falcon Lake. That photo was taken by George. Now, this next photo is from Layton up at York Landing in northeastern Manitoba. Now, Layton points out how the ice is finally melting and hopes the ferry will run this year because the water was so shallow last year. Layton says it only sailed for 2 weeks. Send us your weather photos to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
Thanks, Colleen. Well, it can be frustrating if you have an appliance breakdown, and it seems with some models they do not make them like they used to. If you need to have something repaired, the cost can escalate quickly, especially if the problem isn't diagnosed properly the first time. CTV's Pat Foran explains.
Working, no heat whatsoever.
Louise Renwick of Markham says in early May her 4-year-old oven quit working. She called Samsung, but then decided to go with what she thought was a local repair company. A technician came to her home and charged her almost $800 to change a temperature sensor, but the oven still wouldn't turn on.
So I said, oh, just a minute. I don't think it's working. So I tried it, and it's exactly the way it was before he came in.
She was then told it was the oven's main board that needed replacing. They offered a 10% discount on the part, but with taxes and labor, repairs would be more than what she paid for the stove in the first place.
They won't come back unless I agree to pay another $700-800 on top of the $800 I've already given them.
She hired the A-Team Appliance Repair, which was the first company to pop up in a Google search. On the invoice, it says A-Team Appliance Repair works out of this building in Markham, but the security guard said they left 5 months ago. Our emails to the company were not returned. When we called them, they hung up.
Thank you for calling Appliance Repair Team.
Hello, Lisa speaking. How may I help you today?
Hi, it's Pat Foran calling from CTV News. We're just trying to speak to someone about a complaint. Hello?
That is a very high number of complaints.
The Better Business Bureau says in the past 3 years there have been 732 complaints filed against the company, and they've been given an F, the Bureau's lowest rating. There's a pattern of complaints.
Consumers are alleging that the company is unable to properly diagnose and repair the appliances effectively, and the cost of repairs are grossly inflated.
The BBB suggests checking its website for reviews, calling a manufacturer directly, and to realize some companies pay Google to be the first to pop up in online searches. As for Renwick, she's putting her money towards a new stove, not more repairs.
I can buy a new one for $1,200. That's better than this stove.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
Still to come, new data from Equifax Canada shows insolvency volumes have reached the highest level since 2009. After the break, I talked to an expert from Equifax to go over those findings and what they tell us about the financial bind facing Manitobans. That's next. New data from Equifax Canada shows insolvency volumes reached their highest level since 2009, up more than 18% year over year. And mortgage holder stress is becoming much more visible. Joining me now to share some of the Manitoba-specific data in this new report out today is Rebecca Oakes, Vice President of Advanced Analytics at Equifax Canada. Rebecca, good to speak with you.
Thank you for having me.
First, let's start with some of the key findings out of Manitoba. What stands out to you?
Well, I think when we look at Manitoba, we see a few variations compared to the national average across Canada. So first of all, when we look at things like non-mortgage debt, the average per consumer tends to be that little bit lower in Manitoba, which is a little bit of good news. And we also see in terms of some of things like missed payments on mortgages, and even to a degree some of the non-mortgage debt, actually that tends to be a little bit lower as well. So a little bit of good news on the Manitoba side.
What does this data kind of tell us about consumers here in Manitoba?
Well, you know, I think across Manitoba, maybe you're using credit a little bit differently to perhaps some of the other areas of Canada. So when we look at things like unsecured lines of credit, there's a little bit less usage, and that's kind of one of the reasons why we see those average debt levels that little bit lower. So that's kind of quite positive. You know, I think one of the interesting things when we look at things like the mortgage side, obviously mortgage balances tend to be that little bit lower as well, which can kind of maybe help a little bit in terms of some of the impact we've seen recently of interest rates, maybe a little bit less impact happening for kind of those consumers in Manitoba. But you know, it does kind of vary and depend on what metrics you're actually looking at.
Overall, when you look across the country, how would you rate household financial stress right now?
You know, it's really a bit of a mixed thing. You know, our latest report, which goes to the end of March, kind of calls out a few things. First of all, it kind of talks to, we're seeing consumers maybe pulling back a little bit in terms of credit usage. Things like new credit cards, those volumes are down, new auto loans are down, which kind of tells us maybe there's a little bit of less consumer confidence across Canada right now. But it really depends what province you are in. If you look at areas like Ontario or British Columbia, where we've had really hot housing markets and perhaps they've been a little bit more impacted in terms of the interest rate situation over the last few years, they're still really struggling on things like their mortgage repayments, and we're seeing those missed payment levels rising, whereas other areas like Quebec and Saskatchewan, they're actually doing the opposite. We're seeing missed payments come down. So it kind of varies a little bit depending on exactly where you are living in Canada currently.
Are these numbers concerning?
You know, yes and no. You know, I think, you know, there definitely has been a bit of a roller coaster when you think about all the macroeconomic headwinds that we've had over the last 12 to 18 months. And so actually our Q1 numbers have some positive signs in there. You know, things like credit card repayments, we're seeing the percentage of consumers paying in full, that's actually gone up a little bit. Those making minimum pays has gone down a little bit. So, you know, there is some stabilization that we're seeing. I think the challenge is that, you know, like the insolvency numbers, there still is some significant stress out there. And what's really concerning for us is what's going to happen over the next few months. You know, we do know there's a lot of global uncertainty from a macroeconomic standpoint right now. We all experience the gas price rises. You know, is that going to lead to more inflation, which maybe could kind of push some of these individuals maybe a little bit kind of on kind of the, you know, the edge a little bit? Could it push them back into financial stress? And that's what we're really concerned about.
Any advice given that situation?
Well, unfortunately, I don't think I can solve for the global side of things. You know, if you are a consumer, though, that maybe is worried about your finances, we always, you know, say, speak to your lender, get some external support and help. You know, I think a lot of people get embarrassed or worried about, you know, when they are struggling with their finances, but we're not all experts in kind of managing debt. So speak to some experts that are out there. There are plenty of free organizations that can help.
Yeah, reach out for help. You're definitely not alone based on this new report. Rebecca, thanks so much for your time and insight tonight. It was great speaking with you.
Thank you so much.
Deficiency affects more than 10% of the population in Canada, and while iron supplements have typically been hard to take, as Pauline Chan tells us, newer treatments are now available.
Francine Joseph says she was always tired and cold.
Anyone who knows me knows that I have a scarf around me in the office or even walking, even in summertime. So that was one of the symptoms as well.
But then after the birth of her daughter and 2 separate car accidents, her symptoms intensified in 2017.
I was getting constant migraines, feeling super dehydrated, super weak. So my doctor, she ordered me more tests. And then at that point, we realized it's actually iron deficient.
Iron deficiency is one of the most common causes of anemia. And certainly as a primary care physician is something I deal with multiple times a day. Females who menstruate are typically, struggling with anemia.
In fact, 40% of menstruating women suffer from low iron, and it's not just women.
Crohn's and colitis, dietary changes, there's a whole slew of other medical conditions that can cause your iron to be low.
Dr. Christine Palme says low iron can cause fatigue, memory, and concentration problems.
Long-term consequences are cardiovascular complications. You can develop skin changes, nail changes, hair loss, things like that. So much more common than one would think, and certainly something that as primary care we often miss.
Adding iron-rich foods to your diet is a first step.
Step 2 is pharmacological treatment, and there's many things that are available over the counter, and in some cases they work, but they also come with side effects. Many patients can't tolerate the gastrointestinal side effects related to the medications.
But Francine is on a new medication. Acrufer is the only oral iron therapy prescription approved in Canada. She takes that twice a day, and 4 times a year she goes in for iron transfusions. Dr. Palme calls Acrufer a game changer for patients who had severe side effects before.
Point being, patients have a wide variety of options, and just because one fails, go back, try another one.
And for Francine, it's allowing her to enjoy life like never before. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
There's plenty of family-friendly fun on the way this summer. Kids Fest is back. Plus, we take the road less traveled when Doors Open Winnipeg returns to the city. Those details and more next in Spotlight.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting country legend Marty Stewart.
A family-friendly event is returning to the Forks next month. The Winnipeg International Children's Festival is gearing up for its 44th year. The multi-day event features arts and crafts, visual displays, food trucks, interactive workshops, and much more. There will also be an entirely local lineup of performers, including Fred Penner, Al Simmons, and Sarah Teakle. You can catch all the action at the CN Stage and Field Grounds from June 11th through the 14th. Tickets are on sale now online at kidsfest.ca. You can also peek behind the curtain at several of the city's historic gems this weekend with the return of Doors Open Winnipeg. The free event offers you the chance to explore dozens of houses, churches, museums, and much more that are normally closed to the public. Many locations also offer guided tours or have volunteers on hand to show you around and answer questions. Due to high demand, you will need to register for some of the events beforehand. You can do that and find a full list of locations by visiting doorsopenwinnipeg.ca. They're cultural curiosities that tend to make the news for all the wrong reasons. But an upcoming event in Winnipeg is promising a deep dive into the inner workings of cults. Hosted by cult interventionist Mike King, The Psychology of Cults offers an exploration of how they form, why people join, and what it takes to break free. Using real-life examples such as the infamous Jonestown, Heaven's Gate, and NXIVM groups, King explores the coercion and tactics leaders employ and how some of those same methods can take shape in everyday life, from relationships to workplaces. The event takes place November 3rd at Centennial Concert Hall. Tickets are on sale Thursday. Just visit centennialconcerthall.com. One of Canada's biggest rock acts opened its nationwide tour in the Maritimes tonight. The Guess Who with Burton Cummings and Randy Bachman were scheduled to open the tour of classic hits at Moncton's Avenir Centre just a short time ago. Tomorrow night, they'll bring the show to Halifax's Scotiabank Centre. It marks the first time they've toured as the Guess Who since 2000. They're scheduled to play Winnipeg's Canada Life Centre June 5th. You can find tickets through Ticketmaster. Your primetime lineup tonight starts at 7 with a blockbuster, Rogue One, a Star Wars story. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
A drone show unlike anything seen before. How many records this elaborate performance in China just broke? Stay with us.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
27 degrees out there in Winnipeg right now. Sunny, windy too. Winds out of the northeast at 30 kilometers an hour with wind gusts up to 42. Highest temperature today was 28 and the normal high is 22. On this day a year ago, 25.6 degrees. So tonight we drop down to about 13, mostly clear. 28 again on Wednesday. Winds will pick up in the afternoon out of the east. Then the mid 30s merrily Thursday, Friday, and right through the weekend. Temperatures stay in the 30s.
Wow. Thanks, Colleen. China's drone technology just entered a new era as 33,000 drones performed a record-breaking light show. Check this out. This show set a Guinness Book of World Record for the largest simultaneous drone flight and the largest aerial pattern. The show featured 5 chapters blending technology and culture. Official certification confirmed breakthroughs in scale as well as design and aerial display, marking the first time all 3 elements were achieved. Together, one of the chapters reflected the area's philosophy of harmony between humanity and nature. Later, displays showcased giant pandas and floating islands. You see those there.
Yeah, beautiful.
Very cool. I have no idea how they accomplish this with drones.
Yeah, this is beyond me.
That's neat. All right.
Indeed it is.
That does it for us tonight. Have a good one. Take care in this heat.